So the thing is, meteorologists are forecasting the arrival of La Niña in the next few weeks, which could bring a harsh and unpredictable winter. But what exactly is La Niña, the frigid counterpart to El Niño? How does this recurring phenomenon unfold, and what consequences should we prepare for? One thing is already certain. While El Niño and La Niña are often viewed as the main forces shaping global weather patterns, the polar vortex should not be overlooked, as it also plays a crucial role in local weather. This year, the combination of the polar vortex and La Niña might create a winter unlike any we've seen before, with severe droughts, heavy flooding, and drastic temperature swings. Unfortunately, extreme weather events like these are becoming increasingly frequent and disturbingly more predictable. Experts point to a clear culprit for this unsettling trend. Climate change has already raised global temperatures by 1 degree between 1881 and 2019, and in some regions, the rise is even higher. Germany, for example, has warmed by 1.6 degrees. The past decade has seen the hottest years on record, and the future doesn't look promising, according to expert predictions. Even if we immediately halt the greenhouse gas emissions causing global warming, some climate shifts are now irreversible. In Germany, this includes an increased likelihood of severe storms, intense heat, heavy rainfall, and flooding. The devastating 2021 once-in-a-100-years flood, which killed 180 people and caused billions in damage, is a stark reminder of the risks. At the same time, these climate disruptions also bring sudden, unexpected drops in temperature. While recent winters have often been mild and snowless, the United States faced an extreme cold snap in December 2022 that resulted in at least 63 deaths. In February 2021, Texas experienced even more catastrophic cold weather. In the past 30 years, extreme cold spells have claimed 250 lives, and although average temperatures continue to rise globally, meteorologists stress that these severe weather events are not isolated. In fact, the National Center for Environmental Information has reported that the frequency of intense snowstorms has increased in 2/3 of the eastern United States. Although this data pertains specifically to the US, researchers point out that similar trends are emerging globally. But why is this happening? How can a warming planet still experience sudden cold snaps and severe ice storms? The answer lies in the complex interaction of El Niño, La Niña, and the polar vortex, which atmospheric physicists recently identified as key contributors to these contradictory weather patterns. To understand this, it's essential to first grasp what these weather phenomena are. The polar vortex refers to the low-pressure areas that form high above the poles. During winter, the lack of sunlight causes these regions to cool and intensify. Typically, the polar vortex remains stable over the poles, but if it weakens, perhaps due to stratospheric warming or splitting, the vortex can destabilize, leading to cold air surges and extreme weather. El Niño and La Niña, on the other hand, are opposite atmospheric anomalies that influence the weather in distinct ways. In simple terms, El Niño is the hot brother, while La Niña is the cold sister. These phenomena are linked to changes in ocean and atmospheric circulation patterns in the tropics. Under normal conditions, warm air at the equator rises and moves toward the poles, while cooler air sinks and flows back toward the equator. This process is affected by the Earth's rotation, which pushes air masses westward. Normally, the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Peru is about 10 degrees cooler than the waters around Indonesia, with trade winds blowing from east to west, leading to higher sea levels and heavy rainfall in the western Pacific. However, during an El Niño event, which occurs about every 4 years, this pattern reverses. The Pacific Ocean in Asia and Oceania cools while South American temperatures rise. This shift alters the atmospheric pressure patterns, weakening or even reversing the winds that usually blow east to west. As the winds shift direction from the west to the east, El Niño's influence typically weakens after a few months, paving the way for La Niña, which follows a brief phase of equilibrium. This equilibrium phase mirrors normal conditions but amplifies them. In this phase, the Pacific Ocean near Asia and Oceania becomes notably warmer, and the stronger air pressure difference between the west and east intensifies the trade winds. Together, El Niño and La Niña, along with regular weather patterns, form the larger ENSO, El Niño Southern Oscillation Cycle, which brings distinct and often extreme weather effects. During El Niño years, southern Africa faces droughts, while heavy rains and flooding are more common in the eastern part of the continent. On the other side of the globe, Australia and Indonesia experience dry spells and fires, while Peru and Ecuador see an increased risk of rain, flooding, and landslides. La Niña, conversely, generally results in cooler and wetter conditions. While this is often considered beneficial in regions like Southern Africa, Southeast Asia, and Australia, it is linked to harsher winters in areas such as Western Canada, the northern US, Japan, and the Korean Peninsula. La Niña also tends to heighten the frequency of hurricanes along the Atlantic coast of the United States. But what does this mean for Switzerland? Could La Niña and the Polar Vortex bring a chaotic winter? In purely meteorological terms, the effects of El Niño and La Niña are less noticeable in Germany. However, their influence is still felt. Governments in the Northern Hemisphere often adjust their strategies and budgets to assist impacted regions, and with globalization, no nation operates in isolation. For example, if El Niño disrupts Peru's fishing industry or dries up Brazil's soybean crops, global supply chains feel the consequences. This winter, experts forecast a 71% chance of a La Niña event, which could persist through March. However, the polar vortex, which is currently sending cold Arctic air toward Europe, may combine with La Niña to bring cooler temperatures across the globe. Meteorologists are warning that the current weather patterns are more unpredictable than ever before, signaling that this winter could defy expectations. So, what does this all mean? Will the harsh, chaotic winter predicted in so many headlines soon become a reality? The truth is, we can't say for sure yet. The major weather models, ECM, WF, and GFS, are offering completely conflicting forecasts. The European Centre for Medium-Range Weather Forecasts predicts at least some snow and cold spells, while the GraphCast Global Forecast System suggests we could be heading for the warmest winter on record. However, both models do agree on one thing: we should brace ourselves for significant weather shifts. Extreme temperature swings are a real possibility, and if the polar vortex fully breaks down, Germany could face freezing temperatures and intense winter conditions. That said, it typically takes until the end of the season to determine if this will actually occur, so snow enthusiasts may need to exercise some patience before they get their winter wonderland dot. But don't worry, by subscribing, you won't miss out on any updates. Just hit that subscribe button and we'll keep you informed with all the latest weather news.